Before we get into today's episode, we got something big we're going to share with y'all.
What we talking about, please?
We are hosting, as far as I know, the first Mississippi Black Creators Podcast Summit. And it's going to be on July 18th in Oxford, Mississippi. We're going to bring everybody together. We want all the podcasters, all the content creators, and the entrepreneurs from across the state to pull up on us and enjoy a good time.
Good time. Good time.
And if you've been wanting to grow your platform, learn how to monetize, or just connect with other creators in real life, this is for you. Now, official tickets will go on sale May 1st for everybody. That's general admission and regular VIP tickets. All right, so don't miss your chance to be a part of this amazing event. Now, let's get to this episode of Hoops and Headspace.
I think just the fact that I've been sober, like I've been sober since I was 19. I kind of just stopped, and then my life just changed very fast. I went through COVID where the whole entertainment business got shut down, and I kind of was questioning what was I going to do next, or this or that. I didn't have my music job, everything was done. Life is competitive, and you're going to have to always kind of compete. I don't necessarily try to hit home runs every day. I just try to be very consistent. Sometimes it's low and sometimes it's high. Doesn't mean it's going to be either forever. And so it just goes to show you can kind of be down on your luck or have nothing really going on, and you can always bounce back. All that stuff honestly makes you more of a beast.
Welcome to Hoops and Headspace, the podcast where mental health and sports intersect. I'm your host, Jada Rich. We do have a guest with us today. We have Connor Treacy, and we're going to give him the opportunity from the jump to talk his talk and let y'all know who he is, where he's from, and all that good stuff.
Let's go. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this, and I like your neon lights in the background.
Thank you.
Let's go.
And so what we're going to talk about today, as far as your episode, we're going to talk about mental resilience, identity, leadership, and your journey through sobriety, athletics, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to start with is congratulations.
Thank you.
How long have you been sober?
I around 14 years.
Okay.
Yeah. It was 14 years in January. So probably now 14 years and 3 months or something like that. 2 or 3 months.
So as far as your journey, how has that shaped your mindset as far as discipline, routine, accountability, things like that?
Yeah. I mean, I guess at a super high level, I don't have any more of those moments in the morning where I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't do that. Or, you know what I mean? Or I can't believe I did that. Yeah. So, because that could be bad in itself if me being in the entertainment world, if I was, wasted at an entertainment event or something, and then I acted crazy in front of a CEO or someone, and then the next day I'm like, oh my God, what'd I do? So I think, at a high level, I think it just eliminates me making big mistakes like that, and it allows me to be more consistent over time,
Yeah. And just to expand on that a little bit, I know as a fan of entertainers, on the other end, you mentioned CEOs, but as a consumer, that can cause problems too, right?
Oh yeah. No, it's when I owned the club off Sunset that I was doing, I couldn't even imagine if I was drunk or something like that, while working, and then I'm trying to deal with clients getting in, or if there is a huge celebrity or artist that is trying to get in through the back or this or that, and I'm not able to fully step up to the plate, all of a sudden that person has a bad idea in their head of you, and then in the future they'll just reach out to someone else, so especially in that world, you need to be on point. You gotta be on your P's and Q's.
Yeah. And do you know I recently found out what that meaning, like what the meaning of that was, like the literal meaning of the being on your P's and Q's.
No. What is it actually? I just like it. I feel like you have to
Yeah.
think to it.
So what they say is a lot of people, since they look kind of alike when they're writing or used to write or whatever, if you don't pay attention, you might get it wrong. So they say you pay more attention to your P's and Q's. I recently just found that out.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
No, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so that makes sense. Okay.
Like
No,
it's a little useless fun
yeah.
fact.
You learn something new every day. Let's go.
But you talk about separating performance and identity. Can you unpack what that means and why it's important for your growth?
Yeah, I think like, you know, for me, like, I think just the fact that I've been sober, like I've been sober since I was 19. So, I've basically I've been sober like my whole career. And so I think that like when you're just present all the time and you have to like look at everything through a sober lens, like I always am just like very aware of kind of like where I'm at in life and like my career and like what I need to do to like keep expanding it. Cause I feel like, maybe if you're like checked out or if things are blurry or you're kind of just, you know, partying more than you should, you're maybe like less focused on the future or trying to like, just build or expand upon like what you're doing. And so I feel like that's kind of, I don't know, maybe been like my secret sauce in a sense. Like, maybe that's kind of like why more things have worked out for me than not or something. So that's kind of been my take on it, at least.
Yeah. And so as far as like your village, like, the people you work with, your family, collaborators, stuff like that, how has this sobriety changed your relationship with them?
Well, yeah, now I'm definitely probably looked at as more of the like reliable one in the family or this or that, not really the crazy one. So, yeah, I think it changes the perception a lot. I think,
Mm.
by the way, like I'm not really like the type of person that tries to like preach to everyone. Like I'm sure there's like some people, there's probably a lot of people that can just, drink normally or have a good time here and there.
Right.
It's just, that just wasn't me. And so, um, I think when you're doing that, then, people are, at least for me, like less, they weren't taking me as seriously. And so now I don't, you know what I mean? Like people in my family, they've only kind of known me as this version now. Right. So I'm probably like reliable. You can probably call me and ask for help for anything. Like if you have a flat tire on the side of the road and you need me to come help you, I could, you know what I mean? At any time of the day or hour. Yeah. I'm never really like checked out. So, I think that's probably been one of the biggest, changes, I guess, in the shift of perception.
Okay. So let's go back for a second. You said you've been sober since you were 19, right?
Yeah.
So how long were you not sober?
Yeah. I started drinking like in high school. So,
Mhm.
I kind of like fell into it. And I always was like obviously I was in high school and then also I, was a competitive tennis player. So it was for me, more or less, it was more like, oh, okay, like this weekend I don't have a tournament, like I can drink or, you know what I mean? And so, but I feel like towards the end of high school, I just kind of like realized I didn't really like the way it made me feel. And I didn't like, I don't know, just it kind of throws you off a little bit. And then I kind of just stopped. And then my like life just changed very fast. Like a lot of the events I was doing started to like get really popular and I was making a lot of connections. And I kind of just was like, hey, like, maybe like I should just stay like this. Cause maybe if I start drinking again, then I'll lose my edge or something. So that was it wasn't like something I planned. I just kind of like fell into it. And then,
Mhm.
um just kept it going because I just feel like my life just was improving. So I was like, don't break it if it don't don't fix it if it isn't broken, right?
Right.
There it is. I almost messed that one up.
No, you get it.
Yeah.
And so then another question for the athletes. How did you drinking at the time of being a competitive tennis player affect you athletically?
I think like it it took a little bit of the competitive I think what it mainly did was it made me not feel like consistent, where I didn't feel as dialed in. And then you get this feeling of like, if you're like up late drinking or at a party or this or that, like you you don't have as much maybe of like a competitive thing where you're like, I need to win this. You're like, oh, like, like maybe I'll just like play okay, but I don't necessarily, it's not life or death if I win, or you know what I mean? And so now, especially with what I'm doing, I feel like I'm pretty competitive with it, and I'm dialed in, and it's like this is like what I'm doing, and like it needs to get done. It's, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's like for me like what it changed about me, you know?
Definitely. Um, and as far as your athletic background in tennis and judo, let's not forget
Yeah,
about judo.
judo. Yeah, we can't forget that.
Yeah.
Let's
Um,
go.
it's taught you how to perform under pressure. What lessons from that still guide you today?
Um Yeah, I think like, I've been in competitive sports basically since I was like 4 years old. And I was doing the judo till I was about 10, and I got pretty high up in that. I won the national championships when I was like 10 for
Mhm.
the USJF whatever thing. And then I like have photos and stuff with like Ronda Rousey. Like I trained at the same dojo and stuff as her. So I was like pretty tapped in that world. She's like a big UFC person. But yeah, basically I feel like that with the tennis, it's kind of just like you're used to being kind of in a competitive environment like week after week. And tennis is similar to judo. Judo, you're straight up fighting people, right? So it's
Right.
it's one on one. It's very like in your face. And so I ultimately quit because I wanted to just like watch Pokemon or like do normal things on the weekend. I didn't, but I didn't really have a choice. I kind of started doing tennis right after that. But I think it teaches you, you know, that life is competitive, and you're gonna have to like always kind of compete. And then two, like when you are used to competing like that all the time, you don't even think about it as much. I
Yeah.
always felt like I played better in tournaments, like when I was just playing a lot of tournaments, because then I wasn't like overthinking it. I was like, oh, whatever, I was doing this last week, versus like if you take like 3 months off and then it's your first tournament back and you're like, oh, this feels awkward,
Mhm.
or you know what I mean? So just it's kind of better to just be in the flow of it than to stop momentum.
Right. And on here, a lot of times we like to talk about how the things you learn in sports transition into your life after. So, as far as sports teaching you routine and discipline, how has it helped you translate good habits as far as a professional in the music and entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think like especially judo was like so long ago for me, but tennis, with tennis, like I have a very specific strategy typically with how I play. Like I play like a very consistent type game. I go for my shots. I don't try to like overhit or hit too hard. And I play more of like a long game with it. And I feel like having that strategy with like work is my same as well. Like I don't necessarily try to like hit home runs every day. I just try to like be very consistent where I'm like, okay, like if I do this every day and this, then I know that every 6 months or a year I'll get like another hit. And like that's kind of more the mentality that I try to have is being more like consistent, and not like being able to like last longer maybe than everyone else.
Yeah, yeah. And then mentally, how do you stay grounded now in those high stake moments as far as music and entrepreneurship?
It's not that easy, I'll tell you
Mm.
that. I think it's easier now because I'm older and I've seen the highs and lows from it a lot. So I know that there'll be some years that I'm hotter than others or this or that. But I know now, like over time, there's always another like thing that comes along my way typically. Because, I work the same amount every day and I don't really change my routine, and I'm doing this and that and putting myself in position. So yeah, I guess like dealing with the mental part of that, it's somewhat manageable now because I've seen that. But in the beginning it's really hard, right? Like it's so many times where you do one thing and it totally works, and then the next thing totally fails, and then you're like, oh, am I done? Or so um I guess my advice is just you just gotta really love what you do, and you just have to stick through it. And honestly, the harder things actually made me better now at what I've gone through so many of those lows that now I feel more like hardened, where I'm used to it and I'm like, okay, like so I think it's good.
Yeah. And quick pause right quick. We got something else we gotta tell y'all about, man. So we just kicked off our Hoops and Headspace Academy pilot. All right. Yeah. And that pilot group is focused entirely on the mental side of basketball. It's a virtual training where we focus on confidence, handling pressure, and staying sharp on and off that court mentally, man. That's what we doing on there. And you can join from anywhere because it's online. There you go.
It's online.
And it's just for
We
players.
online right now, ain't it? Online. Yeah,
It's online. Look, he old.
Yeah.
Online.
Online.
Yeah. Anyway, and it's just for those players who really want to level up that mindset and their game. Now, that pilot group is full, but the full academy will officially begin this summer. So stay tuned for that info and those reviews from that pilot group so you can be ready to join that summer group.
Yeah.
All right. Now we done talking. I'm gonna let y'all get back to the episode. What you think, man? See y'all in a minute. When it comes to you working with music, hospitality, civic leadership, and things like that, how do you define leadership?
I guess I don't even necessarily like look at myself as a leader, or I don't necessarily try to lead. I just try to do the best I can, like with the position that I'm in, and try to like make everyone around me and what I'm doing win, So I don't try to like act like I'm the type of person where I'm on top of everyone else telling them what to do. Like I feel like the type of person that's like right there playing with everyone and trying to like get the job done with everyone as a team, So I would say like my idea of leadership is I try to like lead by showing that like I'm out here working with everyone.
I'm in the field too.
Yeah, I'm in the field too,
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I try to operate.
Yeah, most definitely. I like that. I think that's the best answer a leader can give.
Yeah.
Leading by example. Definitely.
Yeah.
What common principles do you apply across these different industries? Like which ones can you take across with you?
Yeah.
Because you do a lot.
Yeah. I think the principles to have is you need to be like not have an ego, because a few reasons. One, I mean, it's probably just not good to have a big ego. But I think, you're going to have hits and you're going to have losses. And then also like, you have no idea who you're talking to. They could end up becoming like a superstar in 2 years. And if you're rude to them while you're up, then you know what I'm saying? So, I always try to be super cool with everyone, talk to everyone the same, and hope that sometimes like if I'm up and I'm helping people, and if they're up like 2 years from now, like maybe there's an opportunity that they bring to me or something. So that's kind of how I feel like I've been able to stay consistently like in the mix, like in different industries and stuff like that over the years, is by kind of just keeping it cool, and trying to lower as much ego as I can,
Yeah. And with the answer, you transition real good. How do you balance creativity and like the freedom of it, but at the same time have executive discipline?
Yeah, so I I basically right now am finishing my MBA at USC. I finished in like 2 months, and so I feel like the MBA was good for me because I had originally dropped out of school um earlier in my 20s when the events started to really take off. And I feel like what I say about the MBA is like it kind of takes the Peter Pan out of you. Like I feel like before I would always just like do things and I'd be like, oh, like this has worked before, this has worked. Like I just believe in myself. Whereas now I'm a lot more like calculated where I'm like, okay, like if I do this, like what's the ROI on it? Like even if this fails, like I'll still get this or this. You know what I mean? So I don't take as like big of swings now. I try to shoot more for like second or third base shots rather than complete home runs, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's like the way that I kind of balance the creativity and the executive side of it now.
For sure. And then do you feel like you had some things that were setbacks personally or professionally throughout your journey? And what did they teach you about growth?
Yeah, COVID was a big one actually. I would say that 2019 was like probably like up to that point like my biggest year where like I was like working at all the biggest clubs. I was an employee at Universal Music Group. I had an artist that was just starting to like make some pretty big moves. And then I basically decided to leave the label because I wanted to start my own management company. And right when I left, like 3 months after that, COVID hit. And then like the clubs closed. I didn't have my music job. Like everything was done. And I basically like I didn't have like nothing like in a literal sense, but I just feel like all the things I had going on were just done all of a sudden. And then maybe like a year and a half after COVID hit is when I opened the club off Sunset. And so back to my point before where I feel like I've been through these like highs and lows and it's made me hardened. Like I know now like I can go through like losing it all and bouncing back, you know? So just because sometimes it's low and sometimes it's high doesn't mean it's gonna be either forever, you know? The club ended up being a huge hit. You know, like the first year it made a bunch of money. A lot of like huge like celebrities went there. We did a bunch of big events and I basically had it for about 3 years. And so and it ended up being the biggest hit that I probably had up to that date. You know what I mean? And so it just goes to show like you can kind of be down on your luck or have nothing really going on and you can always bounce back, you know? So it was thank God that happened, by the way. Thank God.
Yeah.
I needed that one. We needed that. Yeah.
As far as post career, a lot of athletes struggle with that. If you can give some advice as far as post career for athletes, what would you give them as far as navigating identity and transitioning?
Yeah.
Because we always discuss you got to have a plan B.
Yeah. Um yeah, and it was hard by the way, actually, because I had played sports like my whole life. So I kind of was doing it since I was 4. And then I think I originally dropped out. I was like 21 or 22. And then I was playing on the tennis team during that time. So then when I left school, I stopped playing tennis and I didn't work out for a couple of years, kind of. Um, yeah, I think like you lose a little bit of your identity, but you also lose the structure from it, you know, because I was so used to waking up at a certain time and like early in the morning to work out and then I have to go to school and then have to like work out afterwards. And then after that, I was doing my like work stuff and doing events. And so all of a sudden, you know, I kind of just fully immersed into the entertainment stuff where I was out every day, networking, going to all the events, this and that. But I kind of just felt like I was like losing myself a little bit, you know, where each day like kind of was blending together and this and that. And so I went back actually now to having a routine again where I like work out every morning and kind of got things back dialed in. So I feel like you can the structure you get from being like a student athlete or anything in that world, like you can still implement that into your work life and use it actually to like help you structure everything on a day to day, because that's how I feel like I'm more in control of everything. It doesn't feel like it's getting out of control.
Yes, most definitely. What do you believe athletes, leaders, and high performers misunderstand about resilience?
I think the only thing like back to the point I was talking about before, like about how my style of play is with tennis and stuff like that. And I guess like how I am with work too is like I think that I always like when I was younger, for example, like when I was playing tennis in high school, I would like watch this guy like Andy Roddick. He was like a huge tennis player at the time, and he always, he would do these crazy serves where he'd serve like 140 miles an hour. And so then I would try to like implement that by like just when I would play like hit the hardest serve I could or this or that. And then afterwards, like when I was in the entertainment world doing stuff in the beginning, I would always try to like be like, okay, like I'm going to do this and it's going to be the biggest or whatever. Right now, I kind of the way I play tennis and the way that I work is I try to be more like Djokovic, where I just lasted longer than all the other players in tennis, and I just play more of like strategy and percentages and outlasting everyone and being more consistent. And maybe I don't hit the hardest, or maybe I don't hit the most winners, or this or that, but structurally, like the way I have things set up with percentages and consistency is I feel like I know over time the style that I have will win most of the time, unless someone is just on a crazy run and they just blow me off the court, or they keep making crazy wins in the business world, then sure, maybe they'll pass me. But structurally, the way I have it set up is I know that me personally, I'll win over time. Like
Yeah.
it's not, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if a listener is currently facing a hard moment or they're questioning their path, what would you tell them about staying consistent through that adversity?
I mean, the adversity kind of like makes you who you are, right? So I even like had moments before where I made like a dramatic Facebook post where I was like, "Oh, I'm done. I'm quitting, guys. Like this is it." Or like I've gone through all that. I went through COVID where the whole entertainment business got shut down, and I kind of was like questioning like what was I going to do next, or this or that, and all that stuff like honestly makes you more of a beast. Like if you're able to go through it and level up from it. 'Cause you got to remember too, like if you're going through that stuff, then your competition is too, right? So if you're able to make it through that and level up, that's usually sometimes when you separate yourself from everyone else that you're competing with.
Most definitely, man. Yeah. You have gave some isms today, man.
Yeah.
And then what we do at the end, so in the beginning we have a talk your talk. It's where you introduce yourself. Hey, I'm Connor. Nice to meet you guys. The second talk your talk, this is where you give yourself flowers. This is where you really talk your talk. You tell folks what you have done and what you have accomplished, what you're doing now, what you plan to do, everything that you want the folks to know about Connor right here. This is your moment to talk your talk, man. So let the folks know.
Yeah. I don't like talking my talk that much because it's more just like I always just feel like there's like people that are like bigger than me or like more important. I'll do one real quick. Let's do that. I'll show you an image real quick. So we're in
Okay.
my studio right
Okay.
now. Check this out. We got a platinum record right here with Dua Lipa. How's that? Yeah, we got that. So there's a little something for everyone. But I'm humble, I promise you guys.
Yeah,
I
most
am.
definitely.
Yeah. There we go.
But you know something, man? I'm gonna tell you right now. In comparison of who he had, that talk your talk right there, the silence in that talk your talk right there was so loud just through the image, man. Most definitely.
Let's go.
Yeah. But man, I appreciate you coming on. You know what I'm saying? I think your story is amazing and it's very inspiring. And I think the biggest plus that I took from it is at the age of 19, you had the mental resilience to do something a lot of people still haven't done as far as finding that sobriety. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
I'm blessed. I'm like really happy and thankful that I ended up doing that when I did.
For sure. Man, we definitely appreciate you. And while you was talking about building friendships, you know, you locked in with the fam, you in the Hoops and Headspace fam now. We don't have just too much that we can offer you, but whatever we got, man, is yours. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, most definitely. But this is Hoops and Headspace, the podcast where mental health and sports intersect. I'm your host, Jada Rich, and we're out of here. Hold on, don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. Stay right there.
Stay right there.
Before we roll the credits. Look, a couple things before we go. All right. First, don't forget the Mississippi Black Creators Podcast Summit is going to be July the 18th.
And we're going to play right here.
Yep, bam. And it's
right
in
there.
Oxford, Mississippi. And it's your chance. Yeah, Oxford. And then the second thing we got for y'all, for players who want to take their game to the next level, our Hoops and Headspace Academy is focused on the mental side of basketball. And it focuses on confidence, handling pressure, and staying sharp on the court. It's virtual, and that full academy is going to open this summer. So be looking out for that information, those reviews and stuff from the pilot group, so you can get ready to be in that summer group. So now, we thank you for tuning in. We're going to see y'all at that summit, and we also going to see y'all in that academy.
Man, say that so they can watch these credits and we can go on.
We'll holler at y'all. You feel me?
Open up the episodes. Go.